the music. I have a question that I want to ask. Actually, not even really a question. I have a scenario that I want to ask you about, and I want to see what your answer is to this. I want you to imagine one day that you're a man. I'm going to let the women off the hook for this one. You're a man. You are a male, and one day your woman comes home and she says to you, or at least one day you come home, you walk in the door and you notice that your woman is dressed and that you looked around and all of her things are gone. Your stuff is still there. All her things are gone. She's leaving you. Now, you got a job. I mean, you work. And, you're not making a whole lot, and not a whole lot is happening. She's been married to you now for 5 years, and things are, at best, not getting better, at worst, are getting worse. That's basically the situation that you find yourself in. And she tells you, you look at her and say, "What is this?" And she says, "I'm leaving. More to the point, I'm leaving you." And you're like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" "I'm going with Michael. I'm going with him instead." And you say, "Well, I don't understand. What's going on here? Why?" And she tells you, "Because his finances are together, I don't have to worry about the bills. I can actually get those shoes that I wanted. I can actually live in the type of neighborhood that I want to live in. I'm not living a hand-to-mouth existence anymore." And to which you try to tell her, this is when things become feeble. You've become feeble when you hear that statement made, and then you try to respond with something else. You try to respond by telling her there's something more important than money. You tell her, "Well, wait a minute, but I've got potential. I love you. He doesn't love you like I love you." Now, how do you measure love? How do you measure that one person loves, quote, loves another person more than another person does? How do you measure that? That's like if you have children. I mean, unless somebody expresses hate toward you, but if they don't express hate toward you, then how are you able to gauge or measure that this person loves you more than the others? Like if you have 4 kids, how do you measure? Tell me the measurement that you use to determine that which of your children loves you, quote, the most. I'd like somebody to define that for me. What is the measurement that you're using? Or are you just feeling? Well, I feel that this person loves me more than another person. I'm just standing next to them, and I feel like they love me more. Well, explain to us. Tell us, how do we measure that feeling? You can't measure it. Then, in other words, it's an irrational reaction. No, it's not. I feel it. So you tell her, "I have potential." And she responds to you, "Maybe you do. But my children can't eat your potential." At some point, potential has to manifest itself and become a meal. At some point, potential has to manifest itself and become a home. At some point, potential must come into the real world. And potential must become a better life. At some point, the ugly duckling has to turn to a swan at some point. It has to happen. Because you see, if it never happens, then what that really means is the potential was never there. You just lied to yourself or other people. We were believing a falsehood, but the potential was never actually there. It was never actually there. And a lot of us have become experts at becoming professional con men of selling other people our potential without ever defining or explaining to them the terms of what the potential is, how the potential works, and what the potential will do. We never get around to that part. We have adopted a culture of being professional con men. Not just bull jive artists, but professional con men. And the victims that we want to con are ourselves and everybody else around us. As we attempt to tell them that there is nothing deficient about us, that everything's okay, everything's all right, and that it's the rest of you who are messed up because you don't see it like I do. You see, the problem is that I'm winning, but you just don't understand that I'm winning. I mean, yeah, I got my foot broken and I got a black eye and a busted nose and I got multiple contusions and a broken arm. But hey, I'm winning this fight. I'm winning. Look at the other guy. I mean, yeah, I haven't laid a glove on him yet. I haven't touched him yet. But understand, I'm winning. And that's black society today. So downtrodden and beaten down that we have actually regressed into fantasy worlds. We've regressed into make-believe. The real world is so brutal that once you start talking to black people about the real world, they start regressing and retreating on you. And we don't even regress or retreat to something real. We regress and retreat to make-believe. Right now on planet Earth, we are the only people who have an entire society based upon our make-believe. Most black women are not in the type of relationship they want to be in today. You know why? Because they're sitting with a make-believe Negro. They're sitting with a guy who jive talked them and con talked them into believing something, into believing in potential, in believing in whatever he was selling. He was able to talk her, and everybody can give talk. Talk is just sound. He never actually produced anything real. And most black women today are angry and bitter and upset because the male that they're with is not a man, but he knew just enough to con talk her into not asking any more questions. You see, a con artist can't answer your questions. He can't do that. So what he tries to do is he tries to intercept your questions. The con man attempts to convince you that the questions that you have are not that important. The questions that you have are not more important than what he's offering you. The con man is always offering you potential. He's never actually offering you something real. And he wants to convince you that all of these questions and interrogatories and all this investigation that you want to do of what he's offering, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. He wants you to feel your way through this. Now, what he's asking from you is very much real, and you very much have to give it right now. He's going to give you potential. You are going to give him sex right now. So he gets sex today, And you will get his potential tomorrow. Maybe. You will give him something real right this moment, and he's going to give you something that you'll never be able to touch, never be able to measure, and you'll never be able to even gauge whether or not you actually even got it. Now that's what he's going to give you. But as a people, that's what we do now. And most black women are in relationships they hate because of that. Most black men are in relationships that they are not happy with because they were under the illusion that they were going to be turning a hoe into a housewife. I want to ask you all a question. Think about your white celebrities. Think about them. Talk about the dregs of society, but think about them. Think about them for a moment. Will you all please name for me a white porn star who had pro athletes, singers, and entertainers all lined up to make a wife out of her? I'll wait for that one. Jenna Jameson, Linda Lovelace, I'll wait. I'll wait. Tell me. Tell me. Because Kim Kardashian has had no shortage of black males. Your upper income strata black males. She's had no shortage of black male celebrities who are not ashamed to be with her. Because as black men, we are not afraid to sell ourselves a lie. We are not afraid to sell ourselves the lie that this hoe, this hood rat, at some point, because she was an easy kill, she was an easy conquer, at some point, because I don't want to work for anything really hard. I don't do that. It might get my hands dirty. I don't want to work for anything really hard, so maybe this easy kill, maybe I can get something for nothing. Which is what con men do. Maybe I can get something for nothing, and I can convert this hoe, a nothing, into a housewife, a something. Maybe I can accomplish this alchemy of transforming her into something valuable. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can make that happen. Maybe I could. We live in a physical world, but black people are obsessed and ingrained in the idea that we will inhabit a make-believe world. I put up a video yesterday called 7 a.m. Explained. Do you know that it wasn't even 12 hours before we had a few folk come on there talking about capitalism is not the answer, economics is not the answer? Now, none of these people explained what the answer was. None of them said what the answer was to be. Understand that. Let me make that very clear. Not even one of them said what the answer was. They just put up one or two sentences. This is bullcrap. Economics isn't the answer. Capitalism's not the answer. Capitalism doesn't work. It's bullcrap. One of them said, I've got the answer, and here it is. Not a one of them. Now, these are people who left comments because in black society, leaving comments is a type of currency. Attention is its own monetary system. Now, I meant that literally. In black society, attention itself is a monetary system. As a matter of fact, we value attention more than we value money. That's why you had all of those Ferguson frauds and phonies jump on the stage when Al Sharpton was there, because not because they had something more true to say than him, not because their motives were better to say than him, but because they saw a spotlight. Well, hell, I can get in on this now, can't I? I can get in on some of this. I see a spotlight. Move this nigga out the way. He's hogging my limelight. I should be here. All these people showed up. They should be here for me. For me. Okay, we showed up for you. For you. Now, where are you gonna lead us? I'm not leading you anywhere. I just want you to pay base tribute to me like a god or goddess. That's all I want. I just want you to worship me. Show me some attention. We got cops out here gunning us down, and you came here for an ego boost? Is that serious? That's what we have now. That's what we're inhabiting now. A place where we con everybody, including ourselves, with absolute lies. We have people running around talking about that posting up pictures of themselves with guns actually constitutes doing something. Please tell me, how in the hell do you plan on going to revolution? How in the hell are you going to fight a war against the very people who make your bullets? Against the very people who make your guns. You don't make your own guns. You don't make your own bullets. Furthermore, you don't even know how. All these Negroes talking about, I was in the military. My uncle was in the military. I had one say that. My uncle was in the military. So let me get this straight. You are qualified for the revolution, not because of anything that you have done or anything that you are qualified to do. You are ready for the revolution based upon the accomplishments of your uncle. No, that was seriously stated to me. I'm not joking. I'm not kidding. His response was that his uncle was in the military. That was what he said. So he is ready for the military. He is ready for war because his uncle was in the military. Now, if you don't recognize that for blatant make-believe, then stop listening now. You don't have enough intelligence or comprehension to be able to do that. But understand, he wants to tell me that what I'm saying will not work. Just understand that now. He wanted to tell me that what I'm saying will not work, that we need to listen to him because his uncle was in the military. Not anything he knows. Now, I'm talking from what I know and what I've lived. He's talking from what he hopes based upon his uncle. Oh, yeah, and one more thing. He didn't offer to lead us anywhere either. He just said we shouldn't be doing capitalism. In black society, we are the only people led by our failures. People who have no knowledge, no courage, no clue, and no future. But those are the people who are going to lead us. Those are the people who are going to lead us. Those are the people who are going to take us to the promised land, even though they cannot tell us what the promised land is. Let me tell you how delusional a lot of folk are out here. I get the same 3 refutations. Look it up. Basically, I get the same 3 objections every time that I say black empowerment is money. I get the same 3 objections. First, you have the cowards. Black finance ain't gonna work. Black businesses ain't gonna work. You get the cowards first. Secondly, you get the idiots. You get your failures. The people who say there's something more important than money. We don't need to be doing that. Now, they never tell you what else we can do. These are the failures who tell you there's something more important. And lastly, you get the collaborators. The people who are actually against us moving anywhere. As I explained in my video yesterday, there is a strong contingent in black society that is desperate to get validation from the dominant culture. And because of that, they are trying to actively stop us from improving as a people. Because if we leave the planet, they understand that if black people start building on our own, the reaction towards black people from the white supremacist culture is going to be very hostile. They will not be nice towards us. They won't even be pretending to be nice towards us anymore. You notice how the mood of the country changed after Barack Obama. You had a black president, and the first thing that you heard whites around the country start saying, this was a common theme. Well, we don't want to hear about racism anymore. You have your black president. We don't want to hear about racism anymore. So now that you have a black president, we get a license to kill, literally. He is our get out of jail free pass. Their attitude toward us did not become more conciliatory. It became less. The more they saw that, oh, y'all are gaining power. Now we can be worse toward you. Not we should be more conciliatory. Now that we see that you look like you doing all right, now we can do worse things to you. And the collaborators understand this. Nicki Minaj understands this. Nicki Minaj wants a white man. Just like Eve. Just like Kanye. Just like the rest of them. They want out. They want that validation more than anything else on earth. And their goal is to sell out the rest of us so they can get it. Sacrifice the other 40 million so I can get my little piece. And by the way, they don't even let you keep your little piece. But if I can just have it for a little while, I will sell the rest of you Negroes. I'll put you in a damn bread loaf and bake you. But it's all about me. It's all about me. The selfish. Selfish people will kill you as a group. Your selfish people will kill you because you cannot survive as an individual. Individuals eventually get exterminated. You can only survive as a group. You must survive as a people. You cannot survive as 40 million special interest groups, individualized, separated, running autonomously. It doesn't work that way. These other people have gained power, wealth, and influence as a group, and that's the only way that you are going to survive, as a group. Not as individuals. I'll look out for me. Because even if only 10% of white society decides that they want to turn against us, guess what? That 10% is a group. In case you couldn't do the math, that's a group. And they're going to come after you as individuals. Case in point, all the donations given to Darren Wilson, George Zimmerman, etc. As black people, we have tried to regress into this intellectual childhood. We want to be treated as white society's wards, not as white society's equals, or damn sure not as their competitors. We don't want them thinking we're competing at all, because once we let them know that we're competing, we are no longer eligible for the pat on the head. We want them to pat us on the head so damn bad we can smell it. We can catch the whiff of the aroma of it every morning. We just want them to acknowledge us. Just treat us like we're actually here. Like we actually matter. And if we can get that, we will not fight you. We will not challenge you. We'll even tell our children, don't they dare look at you in the eye. We will install the plantation for you if you will simply give us some acknowledgement. That's all we want. Is that so much to ask? Just acknowledge us. We don't need businesses of our own, because if we start a business of our own, you will see that as us challenging you. So we're not going to start any businesses. We're not going to try to build an economy, because that's like you go to your job for your employer. How many of you, your employer does a job, and I'm talking about something simple, okay? Let's just say like sales. Let's just say something simple like your employer does computer repair and sales, okay? Let's just say that. You work for a place that does computer repairs and computer sales. They fix computers and they sell computers. Now, you go home and you start doing a little ditty on the side. You put an ad up on Craigslist and just say, hey, if you want your computer fixed, give me a holler. Yeah, make a little side money. So you do that. You do that. All right, hey, here you go. All right, make a few dollars here, a few dollars there. Then you start making some more. Pretty soon, you don't even need the Craigslist ad anymore. Enough people have gotten their work done by you that they're now contacting you directly. But one day you're at work and your employer, you say something the wrong way, and you tip off to him that those computer parts in the rear seat of your car, that's for what you've been doing. But here's the thing. Your employer takes a look in the rear seat of your car, and he notices that you've got 10 motherboards. Now, you don't have 10 motherboards because you're doing a little bit of work. You got 10 motherboards because you got something running through there. You got some good traffic going through there if you got to stock up 10 motherboards. Now, all of a sudden, he realizes, damn, you're actually competing with me. And you're like, well, no, I'm not competing with you. I'm making money for myself. And he's like, no, there's only so many computers to fix out there. And you are now in competition with me for those customers. Now, you notice, you know full damn well his attitude is not going to be conciliatory. His attitude is not going to be congratulatory. Hey, attaboy, hope things are going good. He's not going to say that. The first thing he's going to say is that you're trying to compete against me. That's the first thing that he's going to say. Now, what are you going to do when he does that? What are you going to do when his attitude towards you shifts? How are you going to take that? And furthermore, why didn't you see it coming? Now, most black people know that that's what will happen. And it's not because we're afraid of failure. We are afraid that if we go to engage in economic competition, we will no longer be eligible for what we've been waiting for all this time. We don't want a black Rotary Club. We don't. We don't want a black 5-star restaurant. We don't. We don't want a black hair salon on Madison Avenue, and we don't want a black Lamborghini dealership. We don't want that. That's not what we want. We just want access to their dealership. We want access to their Cadillacs. We want access to their BMW dealership. We want access to their 5-star restaurant. We want access to their private clubs because we don't see any value in ours. It's not valuable if it's not theirs. And ours can be 10 times bigger and 5 times more expensive, and we still do not believe it is worth more because he hasn't signed off on it. And we are still stuck. We're still traumatized. We still feel that we have to measure up in his eyes. And if we don't measure up in his eyes, then whatever we have is worthless. Not because we say so, but because he said so. If he didn't say it's worth anything, we don't think it's worth anything. And even if he did tell us that what we had was better than his, we would still drop what we were doing. Because in our minds, we haven't won. It's like Apollo Creed in the second Rocky movie. I won, but I didn't beat him. And if I don't own his restaurant, I haven't beat him. Yeah, I mean, I got 10 restaurants and he's only got 1. I make 50 million and he only makes 500,000. But if I don't own his restaurant, I haven't beaten him. That's the way that we feel. That's the way we treat life. And that's why we make up excuses to everything. When we start talking, everybody understands something. Building an economy is not easy. If it were, everybody would have one. Building an economy is work. It takes work. And black people have an aversion to that. We have an aversion to hard effort because we think that it should be given to us. We want to be the black bedwench. Since white supremacy gives things to white women, black people being the children, so if white society is giving things to the wife, his woman, we are the children, they should be giving something to us. After all, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Bull Connor, Jesse Helms, are we not your children also? Now that's where the difference comes with me. Because I'm not interested in being somebody's damn child. I see a lot of people out here obsessing over their childhood years and their teenage years, trying to stay teenagers. They want to wear the clothes they had. They want their face to look the same. I have never wanted to stay a teenager. Never. I have never wanted to regress to my childhood. I couldn't imagine if my life 20 years ago looks just like my life today. I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine a situation where I'm just this Peter Pan, just this perpetual teenager, this perpetual adolescent. I just refuse to grow up. I've never wanted that. But most black people do. Most black people do not actually want to grow up. We want to remain somebody's ward. We want white society to be the adult, let them take care of all the intellectual thought, all the heavy lifting. We will simply be their beneficiaries and their children. Whatever crumbs they flick off the table, we'll take it. But let them do all the adult work. We will sit back and see if we are able to steal a few crumbs off of the floor by the legs of his chair. We'll see if we can get that done instead. That's what we do. Somebody like me comes along and says, they built their own economy. We have to build our own. Wait. No. No, we are wards. We are children. We don't have to build nothing. I will wait for him to do it. After all, he's white. And there is zero, nada, none, no chance whatsoever. There is no chance that I could ever, in my wildest dreams, do a better job than him anyway. So why waste our time? There's no reason for us to try to build anything on our own. After all, what whites will build will be so much better than anything I could possibly think of. There is no reason to even try this. No reason. None. He's our daddy. And he knows best. In white society, they back winners. In Asian society, they back winners. Black society has been taught that we're all losers, so it doesn't matter who we back because we're not going to win anyway. You can say as much crap as you want to, but I've told you all before, when a white woman gets with a man, he better establish that potential he's got. Because if he doesn't, she is not the one who wants to leave him. Her family will be the first ones to say, this guy's a bum. He isn't going anywhere. He's not going to take you anywhere. You start getting yourself into shape. You start getting your hair done. You start approaching some other men. Because this horse is a nag. This horse is a bum steer. And you need to back a horse that's built to run. And that's why they do that. They don't sit there trying to back a bum steer until he goes into the damn ground. This is why you've got so many non-black females who sit up here and start propositioning your black football players. They used to do it in college. Y'all, they're backing it up now to high school. You got the high school cheerleaders now trying to grab these young black men before they get to college. She wants to make sure that she is the first on the bus. She wants to make sure that his memories, as far back as he can remember, there she was. So for those of you who are behind and you think it's just the NFL, some of you might have been a little bit further ahead, might have thought, well, I'm smarter. I know it's not just the NFL, it's college too. Y'all, it's going back all the way to high school now. I can show you high school seniors and juniors with non-black females on their arms. Because he's the number 1 or number 2 prospect coming out of college. Going to a college now for football is as big an event as going to the NFL now. Because college is seen as the pre-NFL. These chicks are getting their tickets early. They're grabbing their tickets as soon as they can see, wait a minute, he made a touchdown? Let me go holler at him. At least let me be a number in his phone. At least let me be there. So if things don't work out with Brad, or if things don't work out with Charles, or if things don't work out with Seymour, LaDainian's got my number. Robert Griffith's got my number. And we know that they value us more than life itself, so I've made sure that I put in my bid, I'm first on the bus. If things don't work out, I just won't answer my phone for him anymore. But if things do work out for him, if things do get better, then I'm first on the bus. I'm first in line. He's going to remember me when he gets where he's going. I'm first in line. I'm first in line. There are people, and what she will do is she will stay with him until the ride is over. And once the ride is over, Michael Strahan, O.J. Simpson. We can go down the list. There's a reason why it happens like that. She is like, dude, this is not no damn marriage. It's an arrangement. And as soon as the ride is over, I'm gone. But in the meantime, I'm putting my bid in because I deserve better. And I'm going to do everything I have to do. I'm going to be the nicest. I'm going to be the most cordial. You're not going to get any attitude. You're not going to get any back talk. You will get zero reason to say no to me. If you say no to me, it's just because you don't dig non-black chicks. But it will not be because you found something better. So I'm putting my bid in now. But let him start losing. Let him start losing and watch what she does. As soon as that horse is no longer running, she goes to see if she can find a new horse. She goes to see if she can back a better horse now. Time to go put my bid in again. Time to put my bid back in. And do you know what that does in white society, in Asian society, in Arab society? Do you know what that does? That fosters a culture that the men better stay on point and better make sure they're constantly on guard and constantly got their act together, because at any moment, your woman will get up and leave. As soon as she sees that you don't have the will to produce, she goes to get someone who will. As soon as she sees that you no longer have the drive to make her life better, she goes to find somebody who will. And guess what? It should be that way. That's the way it should be. You should be like the mad genius in the basement, constantly tinkering and building new inventions. And the moment that she gets up and catches you on the couch watching the NFL game, she, oh, hello, Mr. Mad Genius. Aren't you supposed to be in the basement? Well, that's kind of getting old. I mean, I'll get back to it a little bit later. She's going to remember that moment. And when she comes down the second day and you're not back in that basement, you're still on the couch with the Xbox, understand something. She's looking next door. She's looking across the street. She's looking down the block and she's looking at her job. She's looking at the grocery store, because a woman knows that she is being approached by men every day, even if it's just for sex. She knows she's being approached every day. So she knows that her odds of being able, if she looks right, now some of you slop hogs who got delusions that being a size 14 is sexy, okay, some of you slop hogs don't get it, but for the rest of you who got some sense about you, that 20% who's not obese and overweight, for you, you understand that, hey, I got options. Understand something, buddy. I got options. She's not going to sit there and argue with you, because that's not what a smart woman does. A smart woman understands when the game is over. It's like being a business owner. Yes, I said it. It's like being a business owner. You set up shop. You hang out your shingle, you tell people that we're open, the block is hot, the customers are coming in, the money is free flowing, the good times are rolling, and then you have a down year. Then things get better and all right, everything rolls on. Then you have another down year, and then the year after that. And by year 3, you realize that there's another block on the other end of town, and that sucker's starting to heat up. Somebody has set up their McDonald's, their Burger King over there. That block is starting to heat up. And there's plenty of business down there. So guess what that means? That means that we had some good times on this block. We had some good times on this corner. We made a lot of money. We had a lot of laughs. but you're not producing anymore. Well, yeah, I mean, you're still a block, you're still a corner. You have the potential to produce. You still have the potential. But my kids can't eat your potential. My children can't eat your potential. So you see, I don't have the luxury of sitting here and waiting for your potential to one day pay off. I don't have the luxury of being able to do that. I need for you to start producing now. Because you want sex from me now, and you want rewards from me now. If you're going to get rewards now, then I should get benefits now. That's the way it's supposed to work. In black society, is it any wonder after what I just explained to you, is it any wonder in black society we do exactly the opposite, and is it any wonder why we are the poorest people on earth? In black society, we operate exactly the opposite of the dynamic that I just explained. We get with a female who is going nowhere, got 3 children already, she's never done anything in her life, and she's not threatening to do anything now. She doesn't even look halfway decent, but she was an easy catch. And you see, I don't want to work and I don't want to get a job, so she was an easy catch, and she's telling herself that you are full of potential. So you have a hoe who was an easy catch getting together with a dusty Negro who is a con man talking potential. So you got 2 bull job artists who hook up with each other, and that's how we have this circle going around and around in black society. Just this never-ending cycle. At least it better end now, because we've reached a critical mass. We've reached a critical mass where we have become so disoriented, so disjointed, so disorganized that now our opposition is saying, hey, it's a free fire zone. Brothers and sisters, we have to make a choice now. We have the adults versus the children. The people who want to stay kids for the rest of their lives, even if people come and blow their brains out. They're just going to sit there like a bunch of helpless toddlers while people strangle you to death on a street corner. We want to just stand there helplessly, watching our mothers and our daughters and our children get killed. This is what we're up against right now. Because understand something, let me make this very, very clear to everybody out there. We will not be having this conversation in 2115. We won't. We will not be in 2115 talking about this. We will not. Oh, you may have a few black folk who are still in denial, but as a group, as a nation, we will not be able to rationally talk about this in 2015. The game will be in 2115. The game will be long over by then. The game will be long over by the time we get to that point. Long over. Long over. Now the question is, do you actually believe that? Do you all actually believe that we've reached a point that today we are under a campaign of extermination? Do you actually believe that? Or do you just believe that Eric Garner and Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice and Akai Gurley is just a losing streak? And that any day now, things are going to default back to normal. Which one do you believe it is? Do you actually believe that we are in serious trouble? Or do you just believe that we're on a losing streak right now, but that otherwise we're okay? We're just in a slump. That's all. We're just in a slump. But pretty soon, we're just snake bit, but we'll be all right. Now, you can't point to any time in history where we have been all right, but do you really believe that we are in danger of being wiped out completely right now? Not next century, not next week, right now? Or do you believe that we're just in a slump and that people like me are just overstating the matter? That this is not a condition, this is just a temporary aberration from the normal. And things will be back to normal here any moment now. Which do you believe? That's the only question that really matters. Which do you believe? If you think that this is just a temporary aberration, if you think that what happened with Darren Wilson and Daniel Pantaleo is just business as usual, and that there's nothing all that serious going on, then stop listening to me right now, and don't you ever bring your ass back here. Because you're wasting time. You just want to be entertained. That's the other group of people who are killing us. The people who want to be children sitting in front of a television being entertained. And I know that most of you, your parents didn't raise you worth a damn. They just parked you in front of a TV and let the Power Rangers and the Beetleborgs take care of your upbringing. I understand that. You're in the real world now. Your parents were very negligent. You are acting like a 4-year-old watching Big Bird and Ernie. Bert and Ernie on Sesame Street, and you're in the real world. Totally backward. And you're not equipped to survive. You don't even know what adulthood is. And you've got about 5 seconds to find out. Now, the first step is saying, you know what? I don't want to be a child anymore. I don't know what being an adult is, but I don't want to be a kid any longer. Now, everybody can do that regardless of their upbringing, regardless of their education, regardless of their societal conditioning. Everybody can make a decision that I don't want to be a child anymore. Everyone can do that. And anyone who is incapable of doing that, they're already too far gone. We can't worry about them. But for those of you who've made the decision that, you know what? This is a damn deadly situation. I'm taking this mess seriously. I want to be an adult now. Come and join us. Unless you want to be with the people who say that capitalism is wrong. Understand some people, capitalism is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Had a couple of idiots talk about we're going to go to Africa. What a moron. This tells you how completely idiotic a lot of people are. What a moron. As if white supremacy is not already running the yard in Africa now. They're talking about Africa as if Africa is untouched. Africa is okay. Africa is safe. White supremacy doesn't have any toeholds over there. White supremacy runs the yard. Hell, they call it South Africa. They're 10% of the population, and 20 years after Nelson Mandela was freed, and black folk are still the stepchildren and the footstools to the Afrikaners to this day. This is what I mean by this make-believe world. We make believe that the people who make our bullets and our guns are going to allow us to revolt. We make believe that we actually want to revolt. We don't get them to do anything. We just make believe like we're going to. We make believe that our religion, we can pray our way out of things. Can't show us where it's worked so far, but let me just keep doing it. We make believe that there's some mystical, magical black land. That if we all would just get on the boat and go there, everything will just be fine. There's this pristine, magical netherworld that hasn't been touched by white supremacy, and we'll be able to leave and go there alone. And Bartholomew in the chat room just asked a very good question. Go to Africa to do what? You don't have any skills here in America. You don't have any skills here in North America now. You're not building an economy here, nor do you have the skills to do so. You can't build houses. You can't do plumbing. You can't do electrician work. You can't do carpentry. You damn sure can't do telecommunications and internet services. You can't make an electrical plant. You don't even know how to do water purification. Who's going to take care of your clean drinking water for you? You can't do that in Detroit. What the hell makes you think you can do it in Sudan? That's that make-believe talk. You're not doing it in Detroit, but you want to try to stop people from criticizing you. So you're saying, well, if you would just let me go to Never Never Land, I can do it there. If I go to Never Never Land, I can do it there, but you're not doing it on 8th Avenue. Well, this isn't Never Never Land. We need to go to Never Never Land. And when we get to Never Never Land, watch, I'm going to show you all the stuff I can build. Okay, I need my plumbing at my house. My sink is stopped up. Can you come help me right now? Next time some dusty Negro says that, ask him what his skill set is. He's going to tell you he doesn't have one. And if he tries to lie and tells you that he does, invite him to come to your home and demonstrate it right then. And watch him get quiet. You can't even fix your own plumbing in Harlem. How are you going to do it in Ethiopia? And the answer is you're not. You're just saying that stuff because you're hoping that that will kill the questioning of you. You're hoping that, okay, if I say this, then I won the debate, right? This isn't a damn debate. This is survival. And we have irrational, immature Negroes treating this like it's a debate. There's no debate here. This is survival we're talking about. It's survival. And you are trying to debate during our convening a convention on our survival. And that's why I put the call out to everyone within the sound of my voice, everywhere you are. In less than 2 weeks, it begins. A project that has been building now for over half a decade, 7 a.m. I'm inviting every single person within the sound of my voice, anywhere and everywhere you are. I want you to turn out. I want you to bring your friends. I want you to bring everyone. Let us turn this into the event of 2015. Let's not wait for it to happen. Let's not hope it happens. Stop waiting on somebody else to be the adult. Make it happen. I can't be everywhere, but you can. And let's not hope and wish. Let's make this occur. Let's make it happen. I want you to go to our website, 7ammovie.com. That's 7ammovie.com. Why is this so important? This is so important because when we were released from slavery, we never convened a national convention of black people where we decided what our future would be. That never happened. We never had a national convention of black people where we said, you know what? What are we going to do now that we're off these plantations? What is our national plan? In the United States, they had that. They called it the Constitutional Convention. In Japan, after the bombs dropped, they had that. They called it the Marshall Plan. In China, they had that. Chairman Mao's The Great Leap Forward. Every society that is prosperous in the world today had a point where they got together and said, this is the direction that we as a people, all of us are going in this direction. And everybody put their energies towards that. Everybody put their energy toward that, not toward make-believe. Not toward wishing. Not toward hoping, not toward regressing into their childhood. You have to be adult enough to realize when you're being a coward. And that the only reason that you're bringing up these absolutely impractical things that you know full well you're never going to do, you're doing it because you know you're supposed to be standing up and doing something substantive and you're scared to do it. Because you're ignorant, you don't know how to build a business, and you would rather talk about guns you ain't going to use and magic beans you ain't never going to get. because you think that that will help to absolve you from your responsibility to gain the knowledge and the skill set necessary to take some adult action. And I'm here to tell you tonight, it won't. You are not going to be given a pass, because this generation has more access to more information and more knowledge at our fingertips than any people before us. Today, poverty is a choice. It is not a condition. Poverty is a decision, not a condition. And you choose to be impoverished. And you are a worthless bastard if you choose that, because you are having children and telling your children it's okay for you to be impoverished too. And that makes you worse than a slave. It makes you scum. That you look at the little lives that you created and say, it's okay for you to be poor. Because I was poor, I don't have to do better for you. I can give you a worse world than the one that I inhabited. You're worse than a slave. You're trash. Now, how many of you want to be like them? And how many of you want to be different? And yes, I'm speaking in these stark terms because survival is not a gray area. Survival is black and white. You lived or you didn't. You survived or you didn't. And we owe it to our children to show them that in the year 2015, we got dead damn serious about survival. No joke, no game, no smile, no kidding. We want to show them that when they look back at 2015, they saw a black people who began to emerge who were dead damn serious. And we started building in 2014. We got out of the starting gate in 2015, and we were rolling like a runaway freight train by 2016. Welcome to our 5-year plan. Next thing you know, Darren Wilson's on the run. Next thing you know, Darren Wilson's in hiding. Next thing you know, Daniel Pantaleo is trying to figure out, can you get a passport to some Nazi country? Next thing you know, Bob McCullough and Dan Donovan are looking for a new line of work because they know their time is up. All of a sudden, people understand how serious it is. Because we as black people have actually done the one thing that they knew they couldn't stop. We cannot be victimized by you because we did not get our money from you. We made our own. You see, white supremacy understands that money is a weapon. They weaponize everything, including their economy. And that is why the first thing that they choose to do when they want to punish somebody, when they want to assault somebody, the first thing, not the last thing, the first thing that they lead with is punishing you with restriction of money. They use their dollars first. When they want to punish another nation, the first thing they do is start retracting the money. The first thing they do is you wake up to use your debit card, you're sliding it, insufficient funds, invalid card, slide it, invalid card. Now they know I've got your damn attention, now don't I? Whatever else you were planning on doing today, you ain't gonna do that because now this is gonna supersede everything. You thought you were gonna ignore me, but I've got your undivided attention now, don't I? Now we're going to talk about what I want to talk about. You are not compliant. You will either comply or you will simply sit here until you wither and die. And I've got no guilt. I gave you a choice. You have chosen that you will not survive. I guess I can't do anything about that. You can always let me have the money. Probably not. We live in a world that runs on money, and black people are trying to make believe that our cowardice about building an economy will somehow get us out of the responsibility to build it. People, we're not going to be able to get around building our own businesses. You're not going to be able to con talk or con job your way around it. That mess works with your girlfriend when you want some sex, and that works with your boyfriend when you want a new pair of shoes, but that does not work in the real world. Dusty nigga rules only work with dusty niggas. It does not work in reality. It doesn't work in the adult world. You're just gonna have to accept that. We live in a world that you're going to survive based upon your control of power, wealth, and influence, starting with the money. And you can't make believe your way out of this situation. It was there before you were born. It is firmly entrenched in the world's firmament, and it is worldwide. There is no place on this planet that is not touched by commerce. That battle was ended 4 centuries ago. It was over. That's what the whole push to colonize the world was about. The ever-expanding need to increase their capital and their economic gains and the resources they had access to. That's what all that exploration was about. To find new lands that they could colonize for commerce. The fight is over. And we got Negroes out here fantasizing that the fight is still going on. Buddy, it was over 4 centuries before you were born. At this point now, you just look pathetic living in denial. It's over. Now, do you accept it's over, and are you ready to start taking some adult action? Or are you just going to sit here and make believe that you have some option that nobody else can see? You found an answer that nobody else can see, and you tell us that you can't show it to us either. Doesn't that sound like religion? I found a salvation, but I'm not going to tell you what it is, and I can't show you until you're dead. But once you die, you'll see everything I said was right. But if you're lying to me, I won't be in any condition to punish you for your lies. Well, you just gotta trust me. Yeah, that's what these people are talking about. We're gonna have a gun revolution, and we're going to make believe, and we're gonna go back to Africa, and we're going to resort to our spirituality, and we just need to learn our history. Yeah, that's what they sound like. They keep promising you a solution that they never show you, and can't show you anybody else on earth who's making it work. They can't show, hey, here are these other people, and their spirituality is conquering white supremacy. Why don't they show us another group of people on earth who their spirituality is conquering white supremacy? Show it to us then. Show it to us so that we can mimic what they did. Show it to us. But they can't. And they won't, because it's not there. It never was. You're just talking to this little cowardly person. And he understands he should be doing more. But he's not, because he's a coward. And that's the kind of thing that makes black folk want to sell out. Because they take a look at black folk and they say, well, hell, we're a race of cowards. Why shouldn't I just be like Nicki Minaj? That's what Nicki Minaj said. Nicki Minaj looked at black folk, she looked at white supremacy and said, well, hell, black folk don't have the power to punish anybody. Why shouldn't I just be a coward too? Black folk have no power, wealth, and influence. Why shouldn't I just bend over and bow down? Why shouldn't I just do it? Hell, there's no reward. It's not like black folk are a bunch of courageous people. Why should I get out there and put my neck out there on the line? Why should I have some courage and a spine and some dignity and some scruples? Why should I do that? And then that creates a culture where we encourage our children to be ashamed to be black, because they associate being black not just with being poor, they associate being black with being cowards. Our children believe that to be black means you must be a coward. That's what our kids think of us. And you can go talk to them and find out, because everything they speak to you is about fear. In their minds, being black is synonymous with being a coward. And that's the reason that so many black folk are loud and boisterous and belligerent. They're because any psychologist will tell you, find the loudest person in the room, the person who does the most yelling. It's like a chihuahua. He barks as loud as he can because he realizes he does not actually have the physical capability to stop you. So he barks as loud as he can, hoping that his bark will threaten you into thinking that all this noise he makes means that he can channel that into physical punishment. And in reality, he can't. So black people are so loud and so belligerent on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere else because in reality they know if somebody runs up on them, we're not going to do anything. You got a bunch of dirty hood rats fighting at the damn IHOP. As soon as the police show up, they become model citizens. The police kill some hood rat, talks about another hood rat's weave. Now they'll swing at each other, but the police show up and just shot your mother or just killed your brother and you're perfect citizens. But you talk loud, boy. We talk loud. Because we're trying to mask the fact that we're scared. And we have transformed. We have turned being black into something shameful. And I'm saying we need to change that now. Don't tell me about how we got here. Everybody knows how we got here. That's another deflection. Black people specialize in concentrating on deflections. We want to talk about ancient history. We want to talk about American history. We want to talk about everything except where we're at right now. We know how we got here, and in reality, it doesn't even really matter except to the point that we need to understand how we get out of it. And people want to talk about everything except how we're going to deal with it. Well, look how we got here. Well, the folk who put us here are not going to take us out of it. So do we want to leave? Yes. Then what are we going to do to leave it? Well, look how we got here. That's a Negro who doesn't want you to get out. Because he's not talking to you about how we leave. That's why he wants to talk about slavery, and he wants to talk about European history, and he wants to talk about the pyramids, because he wants to avoid the conversation of how we're going to get out of this mess. Because he doesn't actually have a plan, and even if he did, he's too cowardly to execute it. And that is what makes our children ashamed to have us as parents and to be a member of our group. That is what creates this rise in interracial dating that you're all seeing, because the children are ashamed to be black, because as far as they're concerned, the whites and the Asians and the Latinos are courageous and black people are cowards, and your children do not want to be part of a cowardly group. They want to be part of a group that they feel has something they can be proud of. Now that's just the honest truth. And if somebody is upset about that, if somebody is angry about that, to hell with you. Because it's the truth. You are the reason for it. Because there's nothing that white supremacy has done to us that we couldn't stop this afternoon if we wanted to. And I mean that literally, this afternoon we could stop it. If we actually wanted to do that. But we've got this psychosis that's led us to the point that we don't want to. We're scared that we can't get their acceptance. We're scared that we have to actually stand up and do some work for ourselves. We're scared that our children will have a better life than us. We're so hateful and spiteful that we want to make sure our children don't have something that we didn't have. We want to make sure that our children do not have opportunities that we ourselves did not have. So if I can't get that Cadillac, I'll be damned if I'm making sure your little ass gonna get one. I'm gonna get a Cadillac even if you have to grow up in poverty. I'm gonna get one. You worry about getting your own. I'm gonna get this. Now, do a people who would so readily sell out and sabotage their own children deserve to survive? Now that's my question to you. I am saying that I am a member of intelligent black society. I am not a member of the people who have children like dogs having a litter. I am a member of the people who have a legacy. And the children are the apex of your legacy, which means that I have an obligation to provide them with better. I have an obligation to provide them with better. That is what civilized man does. Civilized man does not look at his problems and retreat into fantasy worlds. Civilized man takes care of their children by ensuring that their children have a better chance at survival than they did. There's a saying that All revolutions start when the people get hungry. But you know what? I want to add a correction to that statement. I want to add a correction to that. All revolutions truly begin when the children get hungry. All revolutions start when a people realize that they've been backed into a situation where they are no longer able to take care of their own children. That is where all revolutions start, because they take a look at their legacy, the little lives that they brought into this world, the people who are going to carry on their name and their hopes and their dreams, and then they see that you are trying to sabotage that and kill it. That's when they pick up their pitchforks. That's when they pick up their scythes. That's when they pick up their blades. That's when they pick up their guns. When the children can't eat. You can assault me, but hands off my children. You can't have them. You can't have them. That's the tipping point that sets people off. It sets a sensible people off. When they realize that their children are in danger, they rise up. When they realize that the children are being threatened, they rise up. You can mess with me. You could screw with me. You could fool with me. You could mess me over, but you will not threaten my children. You come after them and you're playing with your own life now. And when they see court systems threatening their children, when they see prosecuting attorneys threatening our children, defense attorneys threatening our children, white supremacists threatening our children, the people are supposed to rise up. That is supposed to be the breaking point. There is never supposed to be a situation where your children are eligible for annihilation. That's supposed to be where you say, I will take out every single person in here if you come near my children. That's what you're supposed to say. And that is not. Black people are the only people who have a clear track record of not doing that. Not because our children are not in danger, but because we found something more important to us than our children. Acceptance by white society and our cowardice that we might get a bruise on ourselves because we don't think our children are worth more than we are. We hate everything about being black, including our own children. So we look at our children and say, we don't give a damn if you have a lesser life than us. Hell, you ain't no better than me. You're just my kid. You're just my child. And I say that we have to annihilate the people who think like that. They cannot be allowed to poison the well any longer. They are leading us all to the brink of extinction because for 3 generations now, we've had this government subsidized campaign of corruption in black society where people are having children and telling the children that it doesn't matter what happens to you, and so the children tell their children it doesn't matter what happens to you kids, and then those grandchildren tell the next generation it doesn't matter what happens to you. And that's how you end up with a Lil Wayne, minds fried. Nicki Minaj, mind fried. Take a look at how she was raised, or should I say lack thereof. Mind fried. Eve, mind fried. Dr. Dre, Andre Young, mind fried. We can go down the list. We can go down the list. These are people who did not come from families of legacy, where the family is passing something down and it is your turn to maintain that which was being passed down to you. We don't have that because black people say the children ain't worth more than me. When you actually believe that your children are worth more than you don't let police kill your children. You don't let random strangers like George Zimmerman kill your child, not without retribution. You don't sit here and allow politicians to tell you that your children's survival is up for debate in the court system. Well, the court says that it was okay to kill your child, so it's up for debate. So the debate is over, and we concluded that you concluded my child should be avenged. No, we concluded that your child's life was just an unfortunate loss, and everything moves on. Show goes on. Next. You see, a civilized people do not let their children get slaughtered. A civilized people do not have the highest abortion rate in the country. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that, was I? Moving right along. A civilized people rise up in revolt when their children are being threatened. A civilized people do not let other people threaten their children with their economy. A civilized people make sure that their children are safe and sound. And that means the children have to be self-sufficient so that nobody can threaten them. That's what you're supposed to do. And that's what I'm calling everybody together for now. I want us to have a national conflagration. For the first time in Black history, I want us to come together as a group and start to say, this is the way forward. We are going to start with businesses. At every single one of the locations where 7 a.m. is going to be playing, I want 4 of you to get together in a group, and I want you to make sure that you've got 4 years worth of capital, and you're going to start a shopping center. You're going to just start as a little shopping plaza. 3 little shops. That's it. Fine. I don't care. All you need is just 3 big spaces. And then you're going to start from there. You're watching everybody else come into your neighborhood and build these little shopping plazas. It's your turn. Let's start there. Let's start there. And make sure you got enough reserve capital that you can keep running for 3 to 4 years, even if you didn't make a dime. That way you can make sure about your long-term viability. And let's start making it happen everywhere around this country, and you will see things change overnight. People are going to be like, what happened to Black society? All of a sudden, you'll see the national news media no longer even say anything slightly conciliatory. They're going to be like, well, you know, black on black crime. Well, you know, and then they won't be able to talk about that anymore because the economy will be the issue. You'll see them trying to stay away from that completely because they'll know that we found it. They were scared to death that one day we would find it, and they will have been put officially on notice. Damn, them Negroes done found it. They found the source of power. They found it. All of a sudden, your Nicki Minaj's are going to be on Twitter and Instagram talking about how black they really are and that you all misunderstood all the stuff they were saying before. You misunderstood the disrespect of Malcolm X. All of a sudden, that's what the tune will be. All of a sudden, you won't have rappers talking about dark butts anymore, except to say it's a good thing. All of a sudden, they will be afraid to speak against black people anymore. Your children are going to hold their heads high and say, my dad owns that store. My mom owns that shop. Your children will no longer be ashamed to be black. Doesn't matter how much money they have. They will be proud to be black because they will be a part of a nation of builders. People who are creating something that wasn't there before. And your children will be proud. Your children will be saying, I want to bring you to school on career day. Your children are going to be coming up to you with a gleam in their eyes instead of that shame and ignominy and looking down at their feet that you're currently living with now because you ain't giving nothing for them to pass down. You're not passing nothing on to them, and your children know it. They know that their white counterparts are getting something passed to them, and their Asian and Arab and Latino counterparts are getting something passed down, and you're passing down nothing, and that's why they don't respect you, because there ain't nothing worth respecting. Time to get it back. Why don't you take a little time out of your busy damn year and start to get some respect from your children? How about that? Would you like to have that one? Why don't you create something that will make your child say, I'm proud to have your name? Men, if you want the respect of your kids, why don't you build something? So that way, even if the chick you're with turns into a slutty broad, as soon as your children come of the age of franchise, as soon as they have the age of consent, they can tell a judge, I want to keep my daddy's last name. And even though he may not totally understand why he has such an affinity to his father, you will understand it is because he knows that you are building something, and his little masculine mind understands building. He understands that you are leaving something to him and that he has to stay with you because something is going to be passed down. And it will be his responsibility to take on that which is being passed down to him. And you won't have to worry about your kids disrespecting you anymore. You won't have to worry about your children being brainwashed by Hallmark cards trying to tell your children that they don't need a daddy, that their mammy can be the mother and the father. You won't have to worry about that anymore. Those greeting cards will disappear because your sons and your daughters will have nothing but overwhelming respect and esteem for you. As black women, you will no longer have to worry about being portrayed as the whores of the world. You will no longer have to be worried about being the sluts of the world as you currently are now, because you will have your own economy and you will be able to get some of this garbage off of our backs. We got rappers making TV shows. We're portraying black women the exact same way the rest of these folk do. You call that improvement? No more portraying our women as whores. No more trying to take the easy way out. In white society, they created great art to the point that they Photoshop these things to death nowadays. They present an idealized vision of their woman, and their woman is not idealized as some slut or some sex object. They pick certain ones for that, for easy marketing. But ever since the Victorian age, how have white women been portrayed? White women have been portrayed one way, as queens. They got the long dresses on. They got the long train on the dress. It's all white gown. It's got the little glow around them. And when they made television, they did the same thing. From the first time that they got television done, they would smear Vaseline on the lens of the cameras for certain scenes. Even in the black and white days, you can see it. They would smear Vaseline on the screen because that would create a glow. If you had the lights the right way, it would create a glow on the screen. It would create a glow around the person, and it was a woman. You would see this on Star Trek, as a matter of fact. If you go watch some of the Star Trek episodes where Kirk could be talking to some blonde-haired, blue-eyed chick, and they wanted you to think that she was really dreamy, they would be playing that really dreamy music, and you see that she's got this glow around her. Well, that's not trick photography so much as they would put Vaseline. They would smear a thin film of Vaseline on the screen, on the lens, and that would create that glow. They want you to know that you are in the presence of divinity. They want you to know that you are in the presence of a queen, of a goddess. That she is beyond your sexuality. And the only thing that you can ever really hope to do is bow and kiss at her feet. And if she is so gracious in her infinite mercy to look down and acknowledge your existence, you should consider yourself blessed beyond all men, beyond all people. That is how they portray their women. And I'm saying that as black people, our women don't need to be on a damn pedestal. They need to be on their thrones. So if you women are tired of that the only thing you can offer the world is your rear end on Facebook, then you are going to have to start building something. And it starts with the men, but the women are going to have to be on board. As a woman, do you know that as a woman, you don't have to actually build anything? The only thing that you have to do is say, I don't get with men who ain't building. If every female on Facebook and Twitter were to say that tomorrow morning, I don't get with men who aren't building. If you all would just put that one simple phrase out, I don't get with men who aren't building. And I want to see what it is you're building. Don't you know that your inboxes would go empty? It'll go empty for a little while. The guys that come back trying to see, want some sex? I don't get with men who aren't building. Slutty hoe! And they run off. But in about a month's time, you would see the attitude of black men around the country and around the world begin to transform. Because they would realize, ain't no women if I'm not building. I guess I better get building. I didn't have any information before. I was telling everybody, see who put us in this hole before. I was saying that back then, but I realized that the females ain't taking no excuses. And I don't have any excuse for not getting some sex. So I got to get this building going on because I'm going to get me something. Ladies, It's up to you. Now, I should be seeing a whole bunch of people, women sitting up here putting that on their timelines. You should do that for a good month. That should be the first thing you post every day. I'm not interested in talking to men who aren't building. And I want to see what you're building. See in capital letters. I want to see what you're building. I don't get with men who aren't building. I want to see what you're building. Baby, at that point, you females will be sitting up here beating off men with BMW M4s and I4s. You'll be beating them off with a stick at that point. You'll be beating them off with a stick. You'll have to lock the door. You'll have to get burglar bars. You'll finally have access to the kind of men you wanted, because when a woman rewards a dusty Negro, don't you understand all you really told him is, well, hell, I ain't got to build nothing. I can get the sex without it. I can get female company without it. I can get her rubbing my head and pat me on the back. I can get it now without building something. Why should I build anything? Why should I buy the cow when I can get the milk for free? We need a concerted effort on both sides. The women need to insist on builders, the men need to start building, and the men need to start building first. Men are not supposed to be led by their women. The men are supposed to be building first. And brothers, we got more motivation and incentive than anybody. The police are not targeting the females. That is a lie. The police are targeting black men. We should be in super self-survival mode right now. We should be in super self-survival mode. Everything we do should be about building, because everybody's coming after us. They're not going after anybody else. They're coming after us. We should be on top of this damn thing. They're throwing out prison time like Halloween candy. We should be on top of it. We shouldn't be a black man in America who's not building. Why? Because there's not a black man in America that they're not targeting. You should be on top of it. You should be on top of that. Since we're the prime target, we should be the prime builders. We should be the prime movers. And I have conglomerated the event that we call 7 a.m. for that purpose. In every city that we're meeting up in, you are going to be in a room with dozens of other people. Hundreds of other people. And you will have the opportunity to know that these people are all serious. So let's get to it. Now that you found some serious people, use that opportunity. I don't want to hear about no think tanks. The thinking is finished and done with. We're done thinking. I want a build tank. I want a construction tank. I want a capital tank. That's what I want. No more talking about it. Get with some people who have some resources. And if you don't have your ticket for 7 a.m., go to our website, 7ammovie.com. That's 7ammovie.com. Get them and let's get cracking. Let's get it going. No more fooling around. Because we can make this happen. And we don't have a choice. Because the 21st century is going to be the century that annihilates the non-builders, and they've already gotten started. And for those of you who don't understand the Tuskegee experiments and all of their other offshoots, because Tuskegee was not the only place that they were doing those kinds of experiments, by the way. They were doing them in America, they were doing it in Africa, they were doing it in South America, they were doing it all over the place. Tuskegee was just the one where they got caught. Tuskegee is just where they got caught. This nation has a long history of genocide and annihilation. A long one. And black folk are sitting up here trying to make believe and daydream today that that's all past us and that we don't have to worry about that anymore. Apparently you've forgotten where your feet are touching soil. Apparently you've forgotten that. Or you're just living in willful ignorance of it. They've done it before. They've done it in recent history. They'll do it again. Hell, they're already kicking off the next one. They're already starting on it. Although, if you're in denial of all of this, just hang up and go away and stop listening here. I don't want you here anymore. If you're that dense and that cowardly, go away. You're not welcome here anymore. If you disagree, you're a clown, an idiot, and a no-good bastard, just go away. I don't want you here, and sensible people don't. But if you do understand that this is the truth, I want you to join us. We have 13 days until the event, and I want every single person listening within the sound of my voice to be there. If you're in California, they should be packed. Down the street and around the block, it should be packed. They're already declaring outright war on you in California. If you're in Atlanta, it should be packed. In Baltimore, gentrification is going into overdrive. In case you didn't notice it, it should be packed. DC should be packed. New York should be packed. Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis should be packed. Dallas, packed. It should be standing room only. And I'm talking about standing room outside the theaters. It should be gridlock and traffic blocked for 4 straight blocks. In Philadelphia, you're making your last stand. That place right there, it should be black people teaming out in the streets. Everywhere I went in Philadelphia, there was not one place. Let me say this right now. I have to say this to all of you. Philadelphia is a city that is 50% black. 50%. That means that black people are the largest ethnic group in Philadelphia. Not last year, today. Black people are the largest ethnic group in Philadelphia right now. A major American city, and we're the largest group right now. You got a majority black government right now. And there was not one place, not a single place in the month that I was filming in Philadelphia. In the month that I was there, there was not a single place that I went where a black person owned the business. Not even one. And I had literally thousands of dollars in receipts. Thousands, just in Philadelphia. And I did not spend money with a single black person. The only black person who got money from me was there was a waitress who I would dare not to call the little lesbian that, but there was this little, very bullish, mannish, little, very not very polite, rude little, she must have been a new hire at this restaurant that shall remain nameless. She was completely ridiculous, even if you didn't know what you're doing. And it was her Latino manager who had to come and serve us. It was her Latino manager who came to serve us. Now, he was perfectly fine. Her, on the other hand, she's not ready for survival. That's the only black person I came close to giving money to in a month that I was there. A month. How can you be a city that's 50% black? And I was in the black part of town. I mean, I was in that area. I've named off those places to you all before. By the way, you all know I was there. You all know I was there. Roosevelt, Adams, Broad Street, Front Street. You know I was there. If you live in Philadelphia, you know what I'm talking about. And I went down Broad Street. I went down Broad Street on Friday night. I went down Broad Street on Saturday night. They had some hole-in-the-wall clubs out there. They had some hole-in-the-wall clubs. Boy, I'm trying to think. It's on Broad Street, and you're heading, I guess that would be north, I want to say. You're heading up towards Horsham. You're heading up towards Horsham, towards that, in that direction. And it was on Broad Street, and it's like right down there past the police station. There's a police station on the left-hand side of the street, and they got a mural. I show it in 7 a.m. They got a mural where they got slain police officers on that police, I guess that's a precinct. So the people who live there, you know full damn well, if I'm describing this, I was there. I seen it. It was on that street, and right down from there is some hole-in-the-wall clubs, and Negroes was packed. The Escalades and the cars were all out in the streets. They were all out in the streets. Now, Alpha Grio is in the chat room, and he said that's North Broad Street. So understand, a lot of people lied to you. If you think I was just driving through that place and not paying attention, I paid a damn lot of attention about what was going on in Philadelphia. I paid a lot of attention to it. So I got plenty of people who will sit here and co-sign what I'm saying right now. You know I was there. And I don't remember the name of the club and stuff, and it was so dark I couldn't get footage of it. The only way I would have been able to get footage of it is if I had lights with me and I was scared somebody might start shooting. It's like, wait a minute, is this the police or something? But no, them Negroes ain't gonna shoot the police. I probably would have been just perfectly safe. But in any case, it was like 2 clubs. And here's the thing, it was 6 a.m. It was 6 o'clock in the morning, and Negroes were still lined up in the club, the cars out in front of it. 6 in the morning. 6 in the morning, they were still out there. But I didn't spend money with a single black business the entire time I was there. In Plymouth Meeting. Yeah, that's right. Germantown Pike. We can do this all damn day. We can do this all damn day if you want to. I can name off streets. I can name off freeways. I can name this all day if y'all would like. It's not going to get any better. It's not. Plymouth Meeting was no different. Plymouth Meeting was no different. Had the hotel, the only black person I encountered was the desk clerk. There was no place to do business. After our second week, I didn't even bother to ask if there was a black business. I didn't even bother to ask anymore. Because I just simply realized that black folk in Philadelphia ain't doing nothing. %50 of the population in Philadelphia, and you don't own anything. And oh yeah, one more thing I noticed in Philadelphia, by the way. One more thing that I noticed. Black folk at the jobs they did work, they were all service jobs, by the way. Never encountered a black manager of anything. At the Walmart, it was nothing but black females. At the Wendy's, at the KFC, at the Home Depot, at the dollar store, at the gas stations, plural, at the hotels. If you did encounter a black person, they were just the clerk or the waiter. That was it. Black folk weren't managing nothing. All the managers are Latino or white. And that's the places that were not owned by Asians. You got managers, but none of them are black. You're 50% of the population, 0% of the management. And if any, I could do a whole documentary about just the corner of Adams and Roosevelt. I could do a whole documentary about just that corner, just that one alone. That one by itself. So everybody out there who lives in Philadelphia, you know I just read your book. I just read your whole book, and you know it. And you know it. Now go compare North Philadelphia. That's right, I'm naming names. Go and compare North Philadelphia, or East Philadelphia for that matter. Go and compare North Philadelphia to Horsham. Go and try it. Go and try to compare North Philadelphia to Plymouth Meeting. Go ahead and try it. Plymouth Meeting is just as congested as any other part of main Philadelphia, of Metro Philadelphia. Plymouth Meeting is just as congested as any other part. How can that be if Plymouth Meeting is the damn suburb? How can that be? And that's because Plymouth Meeting has an economy. The music shop, that's right. Giant grocery store, that's right. Not Walmart now. They got Giant over there. So I'm looking for the damn Walmart because, you know, everywhere you go, hey, Walmart grocery store. The Walmart there was barely where the black folk were. The Walmart was just a couple of aisles for the grocery section. That thing over there in Adams, they ain't nothing. Hell, it's not even a super center. It's just a couple of aisles and an open freezer. Well, one freezer case. You have to go all the way to the Giant food store in order to get a fully stocked grocery store. You have to go where the white folks are to get that. That's right, in Philadelphia. I'm reading your damn book. I'm reading your damn book. I had black men at the stores and stuff trying to sell me DVDs and trying to sell me, perfume, well, not perfume, cologne. Everybody's trying to hustle something. But they're not trying to build anything. And that's why you don't have the respect of your children, your women, the police, or anybody else. When I can come to Philadelphia and I can spend a month there and understand I was a stranger in a strange place. I'd never been to Philadelphia before. I was a stranger in a strange land. I did not have preferences for where I spent my money. I had preferences, but I'm saying it wasn't like I already knew, or I said, well, I only shop with this kind of store and not that one, because I didn't know where anything was and time was of the essence. I didn't have the ability to be picky about where I stopped at. So I just stopped at the first places I could go. Some of the neighborhoods looked better than others, but I didn't have the option of saying, well, let's keep driving, because I didn't know how far it would be till I got to the next gas station, to the next grocery store, before I had to get to the next thing. So I just had to stop where I was. And for a month, I'm driving around Philadelphia. In a month, I lived there and never spent money with my people. But my people are 50% of the population and 80% of the churches. By the way, just thought I'd throw it in there. Plenty of churches. Plenty of churches in Philadelphia. No economy. So let's try to figure that out, shall we? The people with 20% of the churches have 80% of the economy, and the people with 80% of the churches have 20% of the economy. And you wonder why your women and your children don't respect you. No, you don't actually wonder about it. You're just too cowardly to do better for them. And that's why you get embarrassed and shamed. And you should be ashamed. Nicki Minaj is humiliating black men today. Because we all know why she's doing it. She's doing it because she knows that she's got white benefactors and that they will protect her from punishment. So she can sit here as a black female and sit on white daddy's lap and thumb her nose at all of us and mock us openly in our faces because she knows there's no retribution coming. Not if she has to deal with the children. Now that's where the rest of you come in. Brothers and sisters, never doubt the ability of a small group of dedicated people to change the world. Don't doubt that. Do not doubt for a second that we are able, that a small group of committed people with an unshakable belief can change things. Don't for a second think that that can't happen. We don't need millions of us, although that would be nice. We just need enough of us. And I'm telling you that a lot of you have been hearing me for years. A lot of you have been listening to me for years. A lot of you have been wondering what to do. A lot of you may be recluses. Hey, so am I. I don't like meeting people. Hell, I'm the only guy that you all have seen who will sit up here and conducts all of his business. I don't sit up here and throw my face around like that. You're the only guy who you've seen who I make it a point to not try to get publicity for myself. I'm not trying to get sex, and you all don't have a bunch of females showing you pictures of me either. By the way, thought I'd throw that out there. You don't have a bunch of females showing pictures of me. So you know I ain't been trawling for panties on the side. I understand. I understand. I understand what it's like. I understand that, you spend a lot of time in the shadows. I understand that your faith has been shaken, and I know what that feels like. I mean, I understand that. I know that you've had a lot of time to become demoralized. You've had a lot of time to give up, but I'm telling you, don't. I'm telling you that you can change things, but it's going to take you and me and us and we You can't do it alone. Neither can I. So let's do this together. Let's do this together. I'm calling all of you to come out of the shadows. Dr. Boyce Watkins said that he's going to be in Chicago. I'm very glad to hear that. Alayla Bundles, the great-great-granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker, no less of a luminary than that, is going to be joining us in Washington, D.C. Shalimar Blakely, the executive director for the African American Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce, she's going to be there. I've invited everybody else who was in the movie. I've invited them also to join us. As we get confirmation of that, I'll let you know. But the most important person that I'm inviting to this is you. The most important person to be there is you. Because you are the one who's going to make the real difference. I know you don't feel like you're a hero, and you don't feel like you got an S on your chest, and I know you don't feel very heroic right now. You don't feel like it, but understand something. I explained to you all last night that it's like a boxing match where a boxer's will has been broken. Well, this is like a boxing match where even if you weren't the best fighter, you came out swinging and then you landed and you didn't feel like you were winning, but then you landed that one punch on his chin and you saw his legs buckle. And all of a sudden, you didn't feel like you were a loser anymore. All of a sudden, you had more strength and endurance than you thought. All of a sudden, you had this burst of energy. All of a sudden, you realized you could win. It doesn't feel like you're winning when you're slugging away for the first 3 rounds, but when you get to the 5th round and you saw his knees buckle, you realize that you didn't need hope. You didn't really need anything except to believe in yourself. And I know that so many of you had a lifetime of watching your parents fail and let you down. And you've had a lifetime of watching your elders fail and lie to you and exploit you and leave you with nothing. And you feel let down. I know that. And that's why I'm saying, let's be the ones to change that. Let us do something that our forebears cannot do. Let us be the generation that can look our children proudly in the eye and tell them, here, son, here, daughter, is your legacy that I'm passing down to you. And one day you will pass this down to your children, as I've passed this down to you. Take care of it, nurture it. This is our African greatness. And you will be able to do that with your children. Because you see, there's a newfound spirit of pride in the Middle East. You know why? Because they look at mammoths like the Burj Khalifa. The Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world at one time, intended for the purposes of installing their faith. Intended for the purposes of giving the people something to look at to see, we must be a great people. Look at what we were able to do. We built this colossus. Surely nothing is beyond our ability. How did that thing get there? We put it there. And if we could put that there, we can accomplish anything. It is no longer the sole primacy of the United States to do great things. We can do great things. We can do greater things than the United States. Look at that building. We proved it. We proved we could do it. The Great Wall of China. So massive, so long that you can see it from space. You can see it from the moon. It is a structure of renown. We, the Chinese, we must be a great people. We do great things. Now they've got a bullet train system in China. It's not really being used like they would like it to be, but you know what? That wasn't the point. The point was to prove we could do it. That the United States doesn't have 1 bullet train, and we got 2. Look at what we can do. We can do things that no one else can. And this is why our children are proud. And they did that because they want their children to be no longer idolizing Americans, no longer trying to be like Americans. They want to define a Chinese identity of greatness. Defining greatness on Chinese terms, not Levi's, not Coca-Cola. They want to define greatness on China's terms, not America's. And that means that you must first and foremost give your children something to look up to, so that they feel like I have a vested interest in this. Because just like a big tower can oppress people, a big tower can galvanize them. And it can tell that just like it can be something foreboding and menacing to the children and ominous, it can also be something that they look at every day and say, you know what? It doesn't matter about my lack of belief in myself. That structure sitting up there proves it can be done. All I have to do is keep slugging till I get it. And we as black people have robbed our own children. It's shameful. But we've robbed our own children of that type of faith and belief. We're telling them about pyramids and our children are laughing at us because they know you didn't have a damn thing to do with that pyramid. Stop it. Let's give our children new pyramids. Let's show our children that other people, they built skyscrapers starting hell with the Tower of Babel. Skyscrapers are old. Look at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Skyscrapers are old. Skyscrapers are old hat. We are Africans. You go to space in a space shuttle. We're going to be the first people who build transporters. We didn't go to space, we just went straight to the moon. Took you 3 days to get there. We got there in 3 seconds. And you're still trying to figure out how we built a pyramid. We're already on transporters. Let's show them that we're the first people who could build an upside down pyramid. How in the hell did you get that thing to balance on its point like that? That's physically impossible. Let's be the first people to do that. Let's be the first people who are actually able to do cold fusion. Let's show our children that when they take a look at the people who built the 21st century, let's show them a wall of fame with nothing but black faces. Let's show our children that when they bring their white and Asian and Latina friends over for a visit, you can show them the wall of the wall of greatness, and show them that the cell phone they're using, that we pioneered a new technology. We pioneered 4H. Okay. H comes after G, but you get the idea. That wasn't meant to be a double entendre, but you understand. Hell, they're talking about projection TVs. Let's show them that projection TV you built, it was a black man who created that. Let's show them that the hovercraft that they're riding in, that it's a black man who did this. Let's show them that the clothing that they wear that no longer needs to be washed, that your forebears got us doing clothes the way that they did when they were washing them in the river back during the pioneer days. Essentially, that's what we still do today. We're still doing the same thing. Turbulent water. That's all that washing clothes is today. It's no different. All we do is add a detergent and try to put in a fabric softener to help the clothing regain its animal life that all that water running through it is washing out of it. You're tearing your clothes apart. Let's be the first people who create clothing that does not need to be washed and doesn't stink. That is clothing that you simply wear. That's right. The old clothing that you all created is obsolete. We have created clothing that needs no washing. We've created cars that require no repairs, or the repairs are very simple. We've created a society that requires little or no recycling, or the recycling that it does require is simple to do. Not a society that's piling up trash to the point that we now have cities of garbage floating in the ocean. You see, that's called vision. And when you give your children vision, because children are born with nothing but vision. That's why they spend most of their time in fantasy worlds. They're born with nothing but vision. Fantasy worlds are all right for kids, not okay for adults. Adults are supposed to have chosen, by the time you become grown, you are supposed to have chosen which fantasies you are going to bring into the real world. That's what an adult does. You are supposed to have made up your mind which fantasies you are going to extract from your dreams and bring into the real world. That's an adult. Anything else is a child. And a lot of you are behind your children because your children are at least making Lego sets and bringing their dreams out, at least in scale. And a lot of you don't even have them anymore. And guess what? Your children don't respect you. You lie to yourself and tell you that they do. Why? Because they haven't spit and kicked you in the face. But do you notice that your children don't tell anybody else about how great you are? Do you notice that? Most black people are totally oblivious to the fact that, by the way, do you notice your children don't talk about anything about you? They go to their friends' houses. Black folk can talk to each other for months on end and never say anything about their parents. Certainly never say anything about anything great that their parents did. They can talk about where their parents have failed, but do you notice black folk can talk to each other for months and never even once discuss the great thing that their parents have done? Never tell their friends about how proud they are of their parents. Do you notice that? Now, the ones who've been brainwashed by bastard baby makers, they'll sit up here and be giving out, accolades for things that never actually happened. Now, they'll do that. They'll do that. But as a group, no. For real things that you can actually measure and see, we don't do that. Why? Because there's nothing there. You can't have the conversation with your non-black friends about the businesses that your dad built that are now, that the news media is talking about. He has control of the city council because he's the biggest business owner in town. You don't have that conversation. You don't have conversations where you say that your dad got together with the other banks and you're building this $1 billion expansion, and that there are white citizens who are protesting to the city council saying that you're driving them out of their homes. You're not able to talk to your friends about that. You don't have any conversations with anyone you know discussing that. No one. No one anywhere. So how are you supposed to have respect for your parents when your parents' lives are inconsequential? That's right, I said it. If you're not building anything and not leaving a legacy, your life is inconsequential. By definition. You had no consequence. The world was the same place as before you came into it, and you want to con yourself into saying, well, I dropped a couple of kids. Well, those are children. That's not you. As much as you want to lie to yourself and believe you are, your life was meaningless. It's time for us to change that. It's time to give our children pride in themselves and esteem when they look at us. It is time for us to rebuild our self-respect. It's time for us to tell the world that Africans ain't done building pyramids. Not by a long shot. But if we're going to do that, the time is right now. We have 12 days to go. Come to our website, 7ammovie.com. This is the National Convention of Intelligent Black Society, finally for the first time to convene for building. I am considering that when you all are finished with 7 a.m., that I will give you the ability to come and to see, about maybe we will have some type of convention here or whatever. We'll get together. And then we will be able to say, well, let's go ahead and see if we can build something. Let's get together with each other. Let's go ahead and start talking about these things in concrete terms. I'm thinking that maybe we should have something like that to follow up after 7 a.m. so that everybody knows, okay, we watched what was happening there and we watched what was going on. We saw what was happening here. Let's go ahead and see if we're able to, follow up on it where we are in our let's come back to a central place where we can all follow up with each other. Let's come back to a central place where we can do that. I'm seriously considering that now, so that we can finally get everyone on the same page about what must be done. I hope you'll be there. If not for yourself, for your children. Isn't it time to be proud to be black again? Not conning yourself, not fooling yourself and making up make-believe reasons. Isn't it time that we had a real reason that we could touch and feel? Isn't it time we stopped playing mind games with ourselves? Isn't it time we had a real reason to be proud to be black again? And this concludes this special presentation of the BlackChannel.net radio program. I am your host, your brother, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, brothers and sisters from around the world, I'll see you at 7 a.m.